was just thinking elementary.
Right.
Because of the way that was worded, I just wasn't processing it that way.
Yeah.
All right, 2.2.2. Am I on the right?
Yeah, I think I just have the. There we go. Sorry, I was on the wrong page. Yep.
Okay. Okay, question on this.
Mhm.
I know we spoke about the driving force behind this was our DJJ teachers.
Yeah, and the 12-month employees.
12-month
being
employees
able
as well.
To have access to that, if I get my vacation notification in 2 weeks, then it's granted.
Okay. So we want to counter,
Okay.
okay, with we're comfortable with all of it except for we want to leave the whenever possible. Because if you have, let's say it's DJJ, and you have 3 teachers that all asked for the same time off, you have to have, you have to have a staff, and they only have a few teachers in their buildings.
Okay.
So we would like it to say employee vacation shall be granted whenever possible with 2 weeks notice.
Okay.
And then go ahead and strike that last part.
Mhm.
And we feel that 2.2.3
Mhm.
allows for an avenue if there is a supervisor who is not allowing that or is making things challenging for people to use their vacation.
Okay.
So,
All right, I understand the counter, so we'll
okay.
talk with our team about it. Kind of sticky.
Huh?
Kind of sticky.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right. 2.7.1. In my current contract language. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Can you share what is the main, what are we trying to solve for, and what is the main change here? If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get to my page too. Same page.
So the current,
So,
I'm sorry.
sorry, so the goal here is very specific about what planning time is. That it's not, unless it is chosen by the teachers, it's not PLCs, it's not directed by anyone else other than planning time is an uninterrupted block of time within the workday, which an employee is freed from all other professional obligations, such as, and then it's specific there, student supervision, meetings, etc., in order to attend to their lesson plans, classroom preparation, grading of student work, and other tasks the employee deems necessary to the effective execution of their professional responsibilities. So it's not to change anything, it's to add clarity to what planning time is. And then being clear that instructional employees shall have uninterrupted planning time, at least 30 minutes, except as specified below. So again, being very specific about what planning time is, because this sometimes can get like, oh, well, you have a PLC or you have this. Well, while we may be planning, or it may be something that's important to the job, that's not planning time.
Okay, so the current language, right, is teachers shall have uninterrupted daily planning time during which they will not be responsible for students, attendance at faculty meetings, or be assigned to other duties except for emergencies. There's our word. The school office shall maintain a duty roster available for staff examination to ascertain the equity of regular and/or emergency assignments. Okay, so the first part here, planning time is an uninterrupted block of time within the workday during which an employee is freed from all other professional obligations, such as student supervision, meetings, etc. So our concern, one concern is that we've already shared that the 3.4.1, 2, which one is it? You have it memorized. Thank you. 3.4.1 is obviously a priority of ours. And I know we're not doing Article 3 today, but the way that this says such a student supervision right now, I think there's some blurriness there until we decide what we're going to do there.
Okay.
So I would like to
Understood.
hold here,
Okay.
just so until we kind of know where we're going to land there.
Yeah, I think that there just has to be, the underlying intent here is we just want to be very specific about what is protected planning time, what is guaranteed to employees, what is theirs. And then we understand that there's duty
Right.
needs,
Yes.
but we just don't want planning time to be encroached upon.
And we understand that.
So I
We
think,
do.
I mean, we've been talking, I mean, I think we can get there, but understood.
The other question that we want clarity on when we do come back to this
Mhm.
is where it says instructional employees versus teachers.
Mhm.
Okay, and this is going back to the conversation about what's teacher versus at the beginning definition, student services personnel. They don't necessarily have a planning period. So I think the question is, what is your ask there?
Mhm.
Because right now they don't necessarily have a conference period to plan lessons because that's not the nature. They're in a different role. So we need clarity around that to feel comfortable as well.
Yeah, I thought we had talked about that before. I think some of my student services folks, do you have anything to add to that on that? Because I think some folks do get planning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a social worker and, you know, students. That takes. Yeah. Yeah. We're not doing anything. We're not actively evaluation kind of situation. So some of the school principals acknowledge that we are doing those things. It looks very much like, you know, a lesson. Plans. I have to do it. Maintain, you know, the fidelity of what I'm.
And I think I hear what you're saying. And I think the question is the frequency of a planning period for student services the same
Mhm.
as teachers? Because like you mentioned, it's not, I know my guidance counselor or school counselors, sorry, caught myself. My school counselors, when I was a principal, they didn't have a planning period.
Okay.
Okay. So, but they still had the flexibility that I would not have expected them to, if they were going to push in and do lessons or that they were going to have that time within their day to do that. They planned their own day, I guess is
Okay.
more of a way of saying that. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, they had the flexibility to say, hey, I'm doing this tomorrow, so I'm not going to send for students during this time period. I'm going to plan
Okay.
for that specific task.
Okay.
So that's where I think the daily planning period, the same way that a teacher has it, I think it does look different. Not saying it's
Okay.
not necessary, but I do think it's different.
All right, so we'll bring it back to our student services folks. I know our SLPs have also, they do have to have lesson plans for therapy and things like that that their admin can see. So I do
Okay.
think there is planning needed, but we'll talk to them on, you know, does that look the same on daily? Maybe not. Maybe it's a guaranteed amount of minutes that they can choose that is equitable to
Mhm.
what teachers get. So
Okay.
I appreciate the conversation.
Okay.
Let me make some notes there.
This is the last,
You know, and I think,
we're getting there.
I
Okay.
think the rest of 275, 276, 277 is all part of that.
It is. So I do have questions and then I want to put this on hold as well.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm,
All right. So 2.7.5,
mhm,
elementary teachers pre-K through 5.
mhm.
So we had some conversation that pre-K looks different. Pre-K, does have a para assigned to them all day, right? All day. Whereas kindergarten, has, let's say you have, and every school's a little different, but if you have 5 kindergarten classes, you might have 1 para that goes throughout the different classes to give the teacher their 30-minute planning time.
Okay.
Pre-K looks a little different because they have the para all day long. So we just wanted to kind of put that out there so that we can see if that, are they really the same or is it different? The student instructional day. So elementary teachers shall be provided with a weekly minimum of 2.5 hours of planning time within the student instructional day.
Mhm.
Is this
Equivalent to 30 consecutive uninterrupted minutes per day.
per day? Okay,
Mhm.
so
So it'd be
that's
during
per
the
week,
student
obviously.
instructional time, right? So like, if I'm at school and classes start at 7:20
mhm,
and they dismiss at 2:30 or I don't know,
mhm.
during that block, at some point during that student instructional time, I have an uninterrupted.
And
block
right
of at
now we're
least
doing
30.
this through specials, correct?
I think primarily, I don't know, my elementary folks, I mean, that's,
All right.
that was, as an art teacher,
Yes.
I was taking them, so.
So this is gonna sound silly. Aren't we already doing this?
But I,
Where's
But I-
the, so what are we trying to solve
Go
for?
ahead, Megan.
So it's pre.
And K. Kindergarten.
Mhm. And that's when they're getting the comp time if they don't get the 30 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was just by adding them and being clear that,
That they are supposed to get it. If they don't get it, they should be
Instructional day, 'cause I
getting
think
comp time for the loss of planning.
right.
Right, okay. All right, I thought I just want to make sure I was
Yeah,
understanding.
we weren't trying to change anything, it's already here, we just wanted to be clear of who's
Okay.
included, and then being very clear that student instructional day, because, okay, it's, when I was, even as an art teacher, it was nice to have that day where, okay, I had my 3 classes, I had a planning, and then the rest of my day,
Okay,
or maybe it was first part of the day before I had a bunch of classes come in.
okay. And 2.7.6, the
Mhm.
also is trying to mean in addition to the 30
Yes.
minutes?
Yes,
Okay. And that's what we currently do. You just want to clarify with the
Correct.
also. Okay,
which I think, again, what I believe where we're trying to get is clarity here and clarity on duties. So like, if we can clarify the definition of how many minutes and how much is guaranteed,
yep,
I think we can probably find a solution on that.
understood.
Duties.
Okay. All right, then 2.7.7, whenever possible, you want to strike elementary and teachers shall not be required to teach more than 3 hours without a break.
Correct?
We have some concerns with this, just as,
Okay.
just the master schedules are very complex, and I'll just, for secondary, right?
Okay.
So it's to know that that will always work with where the classes have to go, and AP's offered here, and you can't have AP Calc offered at the same time as AP Bio because those are the same kids. Like, it's a very complex thing to make
Sure.
sure that every teacher wouldn't have that. I know there's multiple teachers that maybe they do have the morning where they do teach straight until their lunch and then have
Yeah.
conference at the end of the day. So I don't know that that's possible to do a master schedule at a secondary school for every employee.
And some teachers, like, just for
Some
whatever
teachers
it's worth,
want it.
like my coaches, right? Like my baseball coach, my football coach, they like having a period off. They've asked for that every
Sure.
single year because it helps them get the field ready on time that they're already being paid. Some teachers like in first period because they can prep for the entire day and they have like an uninterrupted block of time. So I think that also takes away from teacher choice on some level as well, but it
Okay.
is complex to write them out.
Sure.
And we do our best. But
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask Roger to kind of speak on it, because I think he was the one that gave me the quote, "It's a nightmare."
Yeah.
So we'll give you the opposite view.
So last year, we had ninth grade, we was scheduled to teach 4 periods of ninth grade English. And we quit the first day. A lot of fun. So all of us agreed. I have to like thing like that. To it, I think we have some visions where we've got administrators who are being like, hey, I'm for 5 minutes to do a break here, or maybe a coach or someone else, because we need to be able to, things we have to get done, you know, that our bodies can say, no, you cannot hold it any longer.
Understood.
Yeah.
And that would always be, I would always say as you should call the office for that, if that, but obviously I get you don't want to do that every day. So I understand. And I know some schedules, I remember being a teacher, you get your schedule and you're like, you know, I like where my conference and my planning period and lunch is. And
Yeah.
sometimes I was like, you know, I mean,
Okay.
so I just don't know how to
Well,
solve for an entire schedule when you have almost 3,000 kids and you have to create that master schedule to know that every teacher won't, somebody has to have that schedule.
Okay.
For it to work.
yeah, I just
you know?
I think, how do we solve for the
Yeah.
flexibility, but also like the great
Yeah,
need? Cause I mean, even if you were good and could hold it that long,
Yeah.
that's a lot. mentally,
It is,
so
it is. And some teachers actually would want that, like it not, and not everybody, but some would rather,
I get it.
because,
So,
because sometimes kids are a little more squirrely at the end of the day, you know,
Sure.
I mean, so yeah, so I know it's different by everybody, but I understand why, I just don't know how that's even
okay,
possible.
well, I
Okay.
made a note and we'll go back to it.
And I know we said we were gonna hold 2.7.1, but that was also 2.7.2, right? You had that. I mean, they kind of go together. We hadn't done anything with that yet. We're just changing, adding the word instructional.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are together. We haven't done any, we're holding on both. of
Yeah,
those.
this whole section on planning and
Good.
lunch.
Okay.
And then, we just walked through 2.7.5, 2.7.7, 2.7.8.
And 2.7, 8, and 9, again, the only thing we want clarity around is what is a teacher versus what is an employee. I know that sounds
I
kind of silly, but.
I think here we were trying to be very specific that
That it's
it's
everybody.
anybody, that they,
Okay.
can they have their lunch consistently at, at the same time, but.
And is that
that's the
coming
goal.
from, because obviously usually
Let me
our
see if I can
classroom
find a
teachers
note.
do have an assigned lunch period. Is this coming from our student services employees?
Probably I'll have to pull up my notes to see where,
Okay.
I don't have it here.
That's okay. I just,
But I think, I mean, I will say everything in this, all these proposals came through subcommittees
Okay.
of our members.
okay.
Can I just
Yeah.
speak to that for a second? I'm thinking of when families show up to enroll and things like that. So to like our school counselor personnel, that would be a challenge,
Mhm.
when we're trying to serve. So if that's the particular group we were talking about, or kind of goes back to our definition of emergency as well. There are some things that could be happening and you have a student in crisis. And so we're not gonna stop, and they're not gonna stop working with that student because it's their designated, lunchtime. So, but I understand how it is to our, employees
Yeah,
and being able to provide that.
And just to
Yeah.
clarify, the intent there was not the fact that bell schedules are different on certain days. It was
No.
more about, right?
yeah, and I think again, it's to be clear about employees, I'm getting notes of, ESC teachers, same for their lunch times, and Head Start doesn't get a duty-free lunch period or planning period. I don't think that's contractual. I would think that Head Start should be getting a duty-free lunch, but then I think the note on Head Start also getting the planning period.
Head Start has a whole, I'm gonna have to consult with them because they have a whole nother set of guidelines that they have to follow from the federal guidelines.
I don't know who's been sending me.
Does
the
anyone
concern.
have-
That would be
You
Jill.
had-
Go ahead, Jill.
I'm, no, I'm, but
Okay.
we wanted to stay in there because Head Start does not get a duty-free lunch or plan. And they're supposed to have someone come in to cover because of their ratio, but
Got
they don't. So they never get duty-free lunch or plan. And I'm gonna say the last 4 years that I've worked with the Head Start teachers, I know at my school, they have not, and they're okay with it some days because they take the comp time and they usually leave right after students leave, except for on Tuesdays. But if they want, if they want to do something after school, they're like, well, I'm already giving away an hour a day.
Okay,
So they don't. And PEDS teachers, we get a planning because of our parents. So we don't have.
okay, and that is your 30-minute planning
During the school.
during school? Okay, that's what I thought, okay.
Yeah.
but Head Start.
And our duty free lunch is out also just for our parents, because
Okay.
we eat lunch with our students because we have to. So we did a lunch and a planning with our students go back to the classroom.
Got it, okay.
Or take weeks for it.
Yeah, understood.
We can run that.
All right, understood. And I will get some more information from Head Start to see if that is,
They did say a cover is supposed to be provided, but it's not.
and that's when they're getting comp time.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be a daily.
It's because they have, right, they have to have a ratio, so. That they've always worked out, they'll just take the comp time.
Mhm.
And I think one time, a DRT would come over, and if she was there, she could let
Yeah,
the
we
teacher
just
go
see
out
what they
and
say.
test students
I won't
in the
take
hallway. But planning, and that's why we wanted that to say pre-K,
Yeah,
so that it would include our kids.
Okay, nope, that makes sense.
yeah.
All right,
Not limited to first site.
No, oh no, that's.
Oh, no,
because
no.
there's a cover.
got it. Nope, that helps clarify. Thank you.
Right. And again, the addition of employee here is to be very clear that, yeah, I mean, even if it's not the same time every day, I mean, any employee, not just teacher, should be
Right.
getting a duty-free lunch. And then the same with the 2.7.8, that whether you're a teacher or some other instructional employee, that you don't have to be in a certain place. You may, yeah,
Understood. Okay. All right, so we're gonna come back to that.
all my notes there.
Okay, so the last thing besides, oh no, not last thing. So if you go to page 13,
Mhm.
hospital homebound.
Yep,
All right. Is Lori here today?
she's not,
Okay.
so we'll just, I
That's
guess we'll
okay.
listen and we'll probably,
Well, and I will
Back to
share
that.
that I met with Wendy Bryan, who's the administrator for Hospital Homebound. And I do believe she actually with Lori and they talked about some of this. So it's just we're all right. So the ones that are we're willing to TA
Mhm.
is 2.11.2.
Okay,
This we are willing to TA and it's
okay,
hospital home, just for those in case you don't all have it, hospital homebound instructors assigned to travel to individual students' homes can be assigned up to 1,440 instructional minutes per week with a maximum of 300 minutes per day. Travel time in excess of 90 minutes in a given day will be debited against instructional time for purposes of this provision. I learned a lot about hospital homebound talking to homebound those providing instruction to students on the access point standards who are assigned 16 or more preps shall be given an additional 30 minutes per day for planning.
Mhm.
The reason that this is not doable is because it could create a situation where we need more teachers for hospital homebound. She did share that because of the nature of what they teach, there are times when one of their parents will call and say, you know, my child can't have the teacher here today, or we're on our way to St. Joe's Children's Hospital today. So she did say it's really, it's not the same every day. You know, they have a schedule, but there are days when they get that call and then they have a whole half day of planning. You know, it's just different. And the concern would be that by doing this, we may create where the schedule has to have more teachers, which then would probably pull from teachers from other places that we can't afford to do right now. So that's why we didn't feel comfortable agreeing to that right now. Okay. 2.2 I just shared was okay. 2.11.3, middle high school Teams teachers may work remotely up to 4 work days per year.
Mhm.
Right now, they work at a site, they work at campus and they work on Teams. So she would rather work with them individually if there's a situation, but to have just 4 days where they may or may not be there.
Okay,
And just the equity with other teachers, because then this could open up that others.
music break.
That's a good. So no, we're not in agreement with this.
Okay,
Then 2.11.4, The regular school day for middle high school teams teachers shall consist of 8 50-minute periods, including 6 teaching periods, 2 planning periods, and 7 4-minute passing periods. And just so we know, they're doing that, but they do have a schedule, but it's remote. So they're, right now they're at Miles Elementary School. They have a building there. I learned all this. And they do have 2 passing or 2 planning periods, which is obviously more than what our traditional teachers have. And the passing periods, they're passing from one room on the computer to the other, the way that I understand it. So this is what we currently do. So she is okay with, she shared that this is current practice and this would not create a hardship.
Okay.
So we are okay with TAing this. And then 2.11.5, middle school, high school teams teachers with more than 15 case managed students will be provided an additional 30 minutes per day for planning. This again would create situations where if they have more planning, then they're not teaching. So it's same issue that would be with 2.11.1. However, what she did share is that she is equitable across all case managers. So she makes sure that they are equitable. And she also has the flexibility already to assign T payrolls to her current staff if the numbers are high. Okay.
Would you be willing to take a counter on I'm thinking specifically on 2.11.3?
Always.
Because I
willing to take a
hear what you're
counter.
saying on, okay, if it's just willy-nilly, but I'm thinking of some
Mhm.
counters that we could.
Yes.
So I think, I know Lori's not here. I know she's online listening, but we'll get back with her on
Hi,
the
Lori.
Yeah, hi, Lori. 2.11.1, the 11.3 and 11.5,
Okay.
and maybe talk with her. But I don't know if I have a clean copy of this one.
And as much as I really think we need Lori and I need to be able to,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is such a different world. Like, I didn't even know
Sure.
what this meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did it on Teams. I didn't know that the elementary went to the rooms or went to the homes and then the secondary teaches remotely. I learned that.
And that's kind of new since COVID. really.
Okay.
They used to visit them all.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I had no idea.
Okay, thank you. And then how about down here on 2.12.2, when they apply rather than he, she applies?
Yes.
We probably already teed
Yeah,
that,
we
but-
did. I think so. That's fine.
Okay.
All of the he, she's can be they or there. We are good with that. We'll clean up all those when we do that. Yeah. And then the last one, 2.13.1.
Mhm.
And I think Sherry, I don't know, Sherry, is Sherry here?
No.
No. All right, so except for we can't agree to this. We need to leave it as is because if you think about it, all right, so teachers shall be, it's the current language, the teacher shall be permitted to enroll or transfer their children or children for whom they are legally responsible in a school of their choice, space permitting. If we take out space permitting, we could have, we have 24,000 employees in our district.
Mhm.
They can't all. They're all go to the same school. So if
I
we-
promise you, they're not all kids.
this will not exempt them. which therefore means you would want to leave the other part, right? Wouldn't you?
Or
We were just trying to, like, again,
It
our
has to
initial
be space
proposal, so we're open to hear the count on that.
I don't know how to counter that. I'm just like, how do you counter space permitting? Like, I mean, right now, space permitting, and we've worked through situations, like when there is a specific employee situation and they call and then we, we try to work through those if there's a hardship with that teacher.
is there room to talk about the word priority, and what that means for us, which would include space permitting?
Say that again?
Like, we're,
For like magnet and choice, I happened to be on that team recently, Matt Mono, so when a teacher does a magnet or a choice application, their student actually gets additional points. So they do get priority because they get a higher point rating than other people, so as to bump their kids' chance up in that space. That makes sense.
a little bit.
It's like a
How many
point
with
a second.
points? Yeah, so, go
And I
ahead.
don't, and I think each thing is different, so I think it depends on whether you're IB versus your enrollment versus just going to choice might look different. But if you're an employee of the district, your kid gets an additional point or points, so that they do have priority on some level.
What if, okay, thank you. I didn't know anything about points,
Yeah.
but that's interesting. What if priority was after the school has been, we have the number of kids, then employees, before we go to the point system for everybody else?
And the point system's only for magnet though, right?
It's for the.
Yeah.
My point is
Yeah.
we have the communities going to the schools, okay? And then before we go to any of these application spots in school, before we go to these applications, that's what I'm saying. And
To Riverview, we wouldn't
Okay.
have enough seats.
Got it.
right, but
It has
I
to be
let,
space.
I hear the idea,
Yeah.
we hear the
Yeah.
idea of space.
Right.
Okay.
But anyway, let's
Okay.
talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
We're-
We were just saying that military also has a priority in some of that too, but
Okay.
because they,
So they're,
It's orange, that's fast.
okay.
Okay.
We live in Yankton.
Yeah, well, anyway, we'll
Got
work
it.
within that,
Yeah,
but I
so
think maybe there's
I
something,
would have, I don't even
I
know
got you.
how to counter that.
I'm just trying to think creatively, because you can't put,
Well, we'll just,
Kind of
we'll,
permitting? Like, I don't-
we'll,
I'm
we'll
not
counter
sure.
our own
Yeah.
proposal.
Okay.
right, I guess we'll come up with something else.
I just,
Take another swing at it, sorry.
yeah,
That's why I'm not supposed to go.
Yeah. I just,
Yeah, I think this is just a note, just to reiterate, we're trying to address those. I think there were some good examples that were already shared, but there's another one about, an employee who has morning daycare at a middle school since the parent works next door, but then it's a transportation issue, trying to get, I think that's what this note is trying to say. I don't know what it's trying to say.
correct. And I think that is like, if we did something
Yeah.
where we were talking about an employee that has a hardship and it has to come through a certain
Right.
avenue for us to review that hardship, I think that would look different
Okay.
than just saying any employee can put their kid at any school they want. So that's where,
All right.
right? No.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. I didn't get I guess I miscommunicated the note.
No.
Oh,
Because-
sorry.
Because like you're looking at me and my husband, who are district employees, and you want us to get to work on time. And you want our children to be public school students. So you want our children to get to school on time.
Absolutely.
So, in order for our children to get to school on time, they have to. I can't keep her in elementary school. She has to move on to middle school. I want her to go to the school that I get to choose. I've been in this district. I've served you. I've been loyal. I've been here for 24 years now. My husband has been here, been loyal for 24 years now. My son's going to high school, active in the orchestra, loves orchestra. We want him to go to the program that's gonna best serve him. And it happens to be the school that's closest to us, that's on the way from my husband throughout the month. So we would think, okay, we'll just choose through school choice the schools that we want him to go to. No, didn't work. We didn't get in on the lottery. The high school wasn't even open to us, the one closest to us. Called me, Mr. Romano, spoke to him as an employee, was told, sorry, it's a lottery. You got your extra points as an employee. Too bad, so sad. That's just how it goes. We followed your contract. Okay, but now still, you want me to still be loyal to you, to remain as a faithful employee, and to keep my children in your public schools, but yet I didn't get them into the schools I wanted them in. Even though I followed my contract language, I did the choice process, and I got those extra points, which turns out they're really not that many, because he took me through the points for an employee, it's also to balance for all kinds of other things. So the language we have now really doesn't work. And I spoke to lots of other colleagues who some chose, they didn't get the school they wanted, so they put their child in a charter school, or they put their child in a private school. There was another teacher who contemplated leaving the district. So the language we have now isn't working. It's not making your employees happy. There are people who say it's, to quote one colleague, a slap in the face to serve this district and then not be able to put their child in the school that gets them to work on time, puts their child in the school they chose, might be the one they work at, which they can take them to, might be the one that's closest to where their husband works, might be the one that's closest to where their mother-in-law or their sister can pick them up from work or take them to work. But this is language that is free. That's one of the easiest ways to just honor and respect your employees. And trust me, we are spread out all over the district. You have some of us that are look like grandmas that aren't, but are getting there and aren't going to be putting kids in public school. You have some down, you have some whose kids are in daycare and aren't in school yet. So we're all over the district. We're not all putting our kids in school. So we're not gonna throw all of them into the same school. They're gonna be all over the place. So it's not like we're gonna drop, 300 kids into one school.
Well, I didn't promise that at the table.
Yeah, yeah. All
Um,
right. I hear you.
I got you.
I hear you.
And just show them that you respect them, that this is an easy way to just, I'm sorry. I spent my whole summer completely stressed out with incoming sixth grader and an incoming ninth grader saying, Mom, did I get my school? Mom, did I get my school? Mom, did I get my school? And that's not how I wanted to spend my summer. And to be honest, I don't think I should have.
So I think.
Okay.
We hear the two sides of this, the
Mhm.
priority aspect, but dealing with space. So
Okay.
we'll,
I'll reach out to Matt Romano about, and I'll be honest with you, I've never heard about the
I
point
don't know
system.
either.
So maybe we need to be educated about that, and maybe we can come up with a better idea of what we could ask for. Maybe
Right.
like, I don't know, more points.
Well, and I think
Teachers,
it's
I don't
being
know.
educated on the difference between the point system for when someone's applying to a magnet
Sure.
school and then someone who's putting in a choice hardship application.
There we go.
And let's get,
Two very different
let's
things.
figure all that out, and then let's revisit this idea.
Okay.
I think you can see what we're trying to solve for.
Mhm.
right,
And we also recognize the idea that you can't have,
300 kids in one
Right.
class.
right, 24,000 kids going
Although
to
we're
school.
pushing it.
More kids.
Well, and I'll talk from,
Even if
as
it's
a high
Rebecca's
school
school.
principal, you do have to look at athletics become an issue. Like, there's a lot of different things that become an issue with that. that
Yeah,
just have
we get
to,
it.
Was that all?
I think that was it.
Now, yeah.
Now,
For
yes.
second.
And then obviously we had presented some things and I know you'll be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was very focused on trying to put these compensation proposals together
Understood.
and that's okay. And cost them out. It's just the plug is fine. And cost them out to in some ballpark.
Yeah.
This gives our team a chance to now, since our next sessions will be focused on language.
Yeah.
We'll be able, I think, to make some good headway there.
I do too.
Well, we understand our assignment. Let me see here. I've got copies of the things we just TA'd. Awesome. So we'll make some copies of those before you go.
Okay,
Make sure where to put my agenda. Do we want to, because I know we've got two dates.
mhm.
The next school board budget presentation is September. Do we want to schedule some dates next September, since we know that will be what you guys reasonably think you can come back with some counters, our whole compensation proposal.
I think they're close.
I think so too. So,
Already left, start crunching the numbers.
yeah,
You know who
she
we
was all
represent?
about it. I heard her
You know
message,
who we
there's
represent.
money. All right, I'm gonna pull up my calendar.
And as I said at the first session, we can do some things. We just can't do all things. So we will see. We will see.
Okay. So we meet August 28th for the instructional at 3:30. Let's look in, I know we're trying to kind of look at Monday, since that helps with our early release to get our folks here, so.
So obviously the first Monday is, and we'll need a little more time from that, but so. The 11th?
11. The 4th is, no, the 4th.
Yeah. You have date that week.
Oh, yeah.
It's good for me.
Okay, September 13th, okay.
His-
Right, that's in power.
On the
We'll be good in the-
afternoon, but, okay. February 18th, Monday. And 3:30. So the 13th will be we'll have ESP and
Yeah.
instructional. 18th, okay.
13th at
I'm on here, I don't know.
Well, I was thinking 13th would be. There'd be. Money for both. And then the 18th. To be instructional. And we
instructional or ESP.
We'll do instructional on the 18th, and we'll do ESP on the 20th at
Perfect.
3:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Start with that.
That'll be,
All right, so we'll do instruction, the 13th, both sessions, both 30 on September 8th. Instructional